We're going to have to leave this room and go to the other one.
Nope, stay right here. I'm just going to provide you with a link.
Okay. We're going to have to leave this room and go to the other one.
Nope, stay right here. I'm just going to provide you with a link.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to our YouTube live. Slight technology glitch today. The broadcast is appearing differently on YouTube. So welcome everybody to our YouTube live. Slight technology glitch today. Yes, so Nadine, I just put the link in the chat if you want to grab that, or Philip, and then we'll put it over on Facebook and we will get started. Welcome everybody. Once again, Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest for our YouTube live event today. We are going to talk about invisible conditions, how to get approved for them. Even more than that, one of the challenges getting approved for them, getting them diagnosed. Mr. Philip is with us, and Miss Nadine. Thanks for joining the show today.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It is. And just a shout out to Philip Price, who runs one of the most rapidly growing Facebook groups that help people with their Social Security disability application process. Your group is at 9,800 and something now, right?
Yep, we are approaching that 10,000 mark.
Approaching that 10,000 mark, which is exciting. If you haven't heard, there will be a series of prizes once you hit that 10,000 mark. So that's published in your Facebook group. If you're not a member of that group, then you can just put we can put a link in the chat here for you. And you go on over and join. If you are from the group, welcome. So how the collaboration between the group and Disability Digest works is Philip's group provides some general support. You can contact with others. You can find out how long they've been waiting, when they got approved, denied, some of the challenges that they face with that interaction of 9,800 people. And with the Disability Digest, we provide you with the how-tos, like what to say and do to go through and get your disability benefits approved, and then what to do after you get them approved. So that's the working relationship that we have. So if you're new here, welcome. Our goal with these events is to be a trusted resource to help you with things that pertain to having a sickness or an injury and not being able to work. So we hope you enjoy the show, and if you've been here for a while, then thank you for coming back. Encourage you to subscribe, ring the bell, share this event with others that may benefit from them. So the topic that we're going to cover today is one of the challenges that people have in getting their disability benefits approved. One of the common questions is, do I qualify for disability and I have fibromyalgia, lupus, degenerative disc disease, I've had 2 hip replacements. These are all recent conversations I've had. But many people are unfortunately, I don't want to say blessed, but have an invisible condition. And it's more challenging to get approved for disability with a visible condition, because it doesn't have the documentation as like a back fusion would, or if you had a double hip replacement and you're going to take you 2 years to recover. I mean, you can see in the medical records, the surgery, the recovery time, things like that. So, or heart conditions that are pretty easy to spot. So what do you do? That's what we're going to talk about. We are going to take some questions today. You can put them in the chat box. And so we'll go through those later today as well. All right. So I want to share my screen, and I've got some props for you here today. You know, I'm going to hit the highlights on this as far as an invisible illness and some of the things that you should do or could do to get it documented. And I want to, in advance of this, just help you understand with disability benefits to get them and keep them is you need to have a diagnosis. And if you have an invisible illness that you don't know what it is and it's not diagnosed, unfortunately, it doesn't matter what the impact is on your body because you don't know what it is, and thus it's difficult to be treated for something that you don't know what it is. So step number one in this process is to get a diagnosis, right? That's the gateway. And some of the things that can help you is journaling, keeping track of your symptoms. Like, are you losing sleep? Do you have physical limitations for not being able to sit for 15 minutes, stand for 15 minutes? And you might be listening to this and saying, well, you know, this really doesn't pertain to me, but maybe some additional symptoms come up for you, but you don't know what's causing them. And even if you're approved, it's ideal to keep your benefits to make sure that everything is diagnosed and treated and documented with limitations. Everything, right? My job here is to be, proactive in helping you get your benefits and keep your benefits, and it's just the top shelf way to do it. And some that don't have to, unfortunately, suffer the consequences. So, document. Gather medical history. Go through the tests that you've had, family history. Maybe other people in your family have had similar symptoms as this so that you can pinpoint what that is. One of the common conditions that people really have a hard time getting a diagnosis for is fibromyalgia. And fibromyalgia is an autoimmune condition that is viewed as like a general catch-all diagnosis if they can't find out what else is wrong with you. But it's actually viewed by Social Security now as a legitimate, full-on condition that they have a specific test for. But there are many that suffer with this. It's mostly women, like I think 1% men have this, where they feel like they have the flu 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like all the time. They're exhausted and they don't sleep well, but they generally have a pretty regular appearance. So that's one good example. Primary care. The primary care is going to do basic evaluation. So, this is certainly somewhere you could get some help if you have a proactive primary care. I happen to love my primary care, but I've learned through doing this work that they are very limiting in what they do in their testing in your 12-minute annual visit. So if you have something going on, I wouldn't rely on your primary care, just in my opinion and experience, to be the one that's going to detect it. So you need to seek out some specialists, right? Now, here's another thing that I learned from the work that I do here, and also like my professional ambitions. I am an able-bodied person. I've been doing this work for almost 2 decades, but it requires a lot of energy. And for me, I want to have absolute peak performance. And so when I went to my primary care and I asked for some additional tests, he's like, we don't do that. So I pursued another option. I pursued another primary care that is a natural medicine doctor. And what that doctor did was they did a series of tests that the primary care wouldn't do, which they test for all major diseases that are high on the fatality list, like heart disease, They tested for diabetes. They tested for dementia, Alzheimer's. See, I almost forgot what it was when I said that. And then cancer. Those are the primary four that they tested for. And they did other deep dive tests on how my body reacts to food. And I got this pretty little printout here. And everything was fine. But I had one thing that wasn't like in line with me. And I had this big line across one of my reports that said that I had candida, which is a yeast infection. And I had all my regular medical checkups. And this isn't a condition. I'm just using this as an example from my own personal experience. But it's not common that guys get a yeast infection, and I don't know how I got it. But I had it, and it was quite severe, and it was relatively easy to get rid of. And by adjusting my diet and taking some vitamins, I was able to get like a pretty significant improvement in my sleep and energy, which is great. I think anybody would want that. But my point is that if I had not been proactive, like I'm encouraging you to do if you're in this situation, to go to another source, to go to alternative medicine, get these extra tests done, I wouldn't have known about this. I also found out that I have a mild sensitivity to yeast, which is in beer, which I love, but I still drink it. So that's something for you to think about. And so now I have two primary cares. I have my traditional John Miller, and then I have the alternative medicine one that I use for items like this. So that's something that could benefit you. The other thing is second opinions from another primary care, other specialists, there's support groups. A lot of you research on your own and come up with your own information. So these are all different ideas that you can do to do this. And one of the last ones here, number 11, is we had an advocate that worked here for quite a while. Her name was Christine. And it took her 11 years to find a diagnosis for her condition. And she was in a wheelchair for years, 11 years. She'd been at Mayo Clinic, she'd been other places. So this happens with these, with certain conditions that are just misunderstood and not tested right. And for her, it was really difficult because she, without that diagnosis, as I mentioned, you're not able to get access to benefits, nor are you able to get treatment to feel better. So that's it. Okay. That's part one for the invisible condition and what you can do. The second part is let's take a brain health conditions that are invisible. Like somebody, like we were just, or was it you, Nadine, that you had spoke with somebody that had severe brain health, mental illness, schizophrenia, PTSD that we were just reviewing?
Yeah,
Right.
bipolar. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And this individual was young, if I remember. They were under 50, which is considered young.
Yep. 37, I think.
Yeah. So here's an individual with an invisible condition and is young, and has had like suicidal tendencies, has been hospitalized, really severe. Now, the key here is if the doctor's records and the diagnosis of this condition is medically marked as severe, and it's not marked as mild or moderate, then this individual has a shot at getting approved. Now, if all of those conditions are in place, but the doctor hasn't clearly evaluated the condition and it's marked as mild or moderate, then it's highly unlikely unless the diagnosis changes that this individual is going to be able to get approved on their current medical records. Something needs to get. So the point I'm making here is the severity of the diagnosis, that is properly diagnosed and it's noted as severe. And if it is, regardless of age, a good professional disability representative or somebody that like meticulously follows our disability approval course and does it on their own, could get a case like that approved. So tying this all together here, and then we're going to start taking some questions. The diagnosis for an invisible condition needs to pinpoint the limitations or the severity of it, so the limitations can be justified, right? So let's go over to fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia, somebody looks fine, but they feel terrible. So for fibromyalgia, they do a tender point test. There's 11 points on the body where they apply pressure, and based on the reaction to those pressure points, determines the severity of it, right? So they've got the diagnosis for fibromyalgia, it's being treated, they press all the hot spots to determine the severity. The severity is high enough, you can get approved for fibromyalgia. Back to the brain health issue with this individual, we talked about mild, moderate, and severe. Mark severe, then the individual has a good shot of getting approved for their disability benefits. So those are some tips for you on how to get and keep your benefits for invisible conditions. If you have had an experience like this, and you can join us, in the comments. We'd love to hear like what your experience has been. Hopefully it's been successful. And one other thing is, I would encourage everybody to go get, this is called an executive function test. This is the whole thing that I did. And it goes through like all of the variables plus many more, like even testosterone. But my insurance covered most of it. And I'm not sure if you're insured by Medicare or still privately insured. Hopefully you're insured somehow. But to have that done just for, so you can see if there's anything else out there lurking. I would encourage you to do it. Let us know how it goes if you do. Okay, let's get on with the show. How about some questions? We typically do ladies first here, Philip, right?
Yes, ladies first.
Ladies
All
first.
right. Thank you so much, guys. So we have a question here from Miss Mary. She said she has trigeminal neuralgia, lupus, degenerative disc disease, but she failed function capacity test and still denied after 5 years. And that's with an attorney. And she was told it was a failed system. What do you think is wrong? Or
Yeah, what's not clear to me is the failed functional capacity. So a functional capacity report, from what I understand, is a residual functional capacity report is a document that we provide our members in the disability approval course, those we're working with. They bring it to the doctor completes it, and it confirms you're being treated, what their opinion is on your limitations, and how many days a month you would miss work. So there isn't a pass fail on that. It's just basically a questionnaire. So I'm not sure what that piece is. And the conditions, was one of them lupus? L-U-P-U-S? Yeah,
Yeah.
lupus is one of those difficult ones. What I would say is there's more to this situation as to why you were not approved. And I would invite you to come on our show, like in one of the upcoming weeks. You can contact our support team at the Disability Digest. In this show, I'm going to give you the address, and we can come in here and have a good 7 to 10 minute chat with the three of us. And I bet we could really provide some value to your situation. So I would encourage you to do that. And hopefully you're still insured or you still have an active case. And so you can go forward and get your benefits approved. But, yep.
All right. And we just have a shout out here from Haas. This is not really a question. He just mentioned that he got approved for SSI and SSDI. It took 3 years, but it was worth the time. And he says, thank you for helping him through that time. So,
Congratulations. Yeah.
Love
congratulations.
it. Love it. Hey, make sure that you contact us at the Disability Digest so we can adjust your membership from the information that's been helping you to get approved to what you need to know now to like make sure you get everything that you're entitled to, maximize your benefits, right? Just
Yeah.
contact support, reply to any of the emails, but it's support at the Disability Digest. Well done.
By the way, Mary has a follow-up to her question. She said what she meant is that the test was, meaning the test was in my favor. It was done by a physical therapist. It proved no lifting, pulling over 10 pounds. That's what she said. That was in relation to the question earlier.
Yeah, would you let us know like how old you are and what type of work you've done for the last 5 years?
Yeah, let's wait for her response. Let me see if there are other questions here. Someone asked Robert Kane, is SSDI going to increase for first responders that retired? I'm now an SSDI. I'm not sure what he meant by that.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear, yeah, your benefits are going to increase. The only thing that really impacts the check increase, well, not the only thing. Actually, we had Dr. Ed Weir here a couple weeks ago, and there's several ways that you could increase your check. But just the standard, I'm going to do nothing and my check is going to increase program is the only real reliable thing is the cost of living. But as Dr. Ed revealed, people have earnings not properly documented in their check. Sometimes they're on the wrong program or not on the correct or best program. There's items like that that are real life. I actually just had a call this week with somebody who, and she allowed me to interview her and record it, and I'll put it out to everybody. But she had lost her work credit. She had become uninsured. So you had worked with her, Nadine. Yeah, I forget her name, but it's a wonderful conversation. So she fought really hard with Nadine's help to get her work credits back so she could apply for disability. But what happened with her is she worked for an employer that forgot to, I guess,
Yeah.
forget to report her earnings to the IRS. So what that meant is that her earnings didn't sync up with her employer's. And so there was like, I want to say $10,000 of missing income. But I was just that amount that knocked her out of eligibility for like a $1,500 check every month. So she had to get fixed. So you really checking your work history, like Dr. Ed said, that's a real life one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have questions?
Yes, I do. All right, this first one here is a statement followed by a question at the end, so bear with me on this. I went to my PCP today to ask to see my medical records. They recently sent to disability, and this lady held up what looked like 1 to 3, no more than 5 pieces of paper. I'm guaranteed not to get approved if these doctors are sending in stuff that mind you, I've been seeing my PCP for 10 years. I am concerned and confused, mad, etc. Anyone please tell me if I'm tripping out.
She used a very conservative word in mad. Some could have chosen other language.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping it PG. All right, so there's a few things that could have happened here. When you submit your initial application, if you did it online, you enter your doctor and the dates of treatment. So if you entered, like for the last 10 years that you've been seeing your primary care, it is Social Security's responsibility to request those medical records for at least the last 12 months, sometimes 24 months into your case file. So it sounds like there's an issue here that they requested the medical records and they only got like 3 or 4 pages from your doctor, which is, it's not going to help you. You're right, and you have a reason to be angry. So some of the things that you can do is contact your case manager at Social Security if you can get in touch with them, and advise them of this, that they're not getting all of the medical records. And you could, if you're using a disability representative, then you delegate this. This is really their job. You could go into your patient portal, take down all of your medical records for the last 24 months. I wouldn't do it for 10 years because they won't go back that far and it could slow things down. And then deliver them to Social Security so that you get a confirmation of receipt. You're not able to, in most offices now, maybe all, just walk in. So you could make an appointment, hand deliver them, get a receipt. You could mail them, registered receipt. You could fax them, a lot of paper. But what you don't want to do is, if there's already medical records in the system, like if you call your case manager and they already have medical records in the system, will you add the same medical records just to be sure? Because that duplication process is like too much for Social Security. You know, it'll make it more difficult for an unexperienced case examiner, which unfortunately most of them are now, to get to the information they need. So those are your options. One more thing I will say, if you're using a disability representative, one of the advantages a representative has is they can actually see into your portal. And they can see, like, the medical records. They're referred to as exhibits. So your primary care would be exhibit 15 or whatever it is. So again, if you're using a representative, that's a way that you could speak to them.
Okay, well, you inadvertently answered my next question. This was from Nick. Nikki says, what are the odds of getting approved once I get a lawyer? I've been denied twice.
Well, you know, there's a lot of variables that determine the odds, but if you've been denied twice at the initial or reconsideration, if you search this YouTube channel and type in the word expectations, there's some, you know, updates. But you know, a hearing level case is like in the 54% approval rate. But there's a lot of variables. I mean, you could have a beautiful case and end up in the wonderful state of Texas in the Dallas North Hearing Office with one of their judges there that have a 19% approval rate. So it's difficult to pinpoint exactly. But just encourage you, this may sound super simplistic, just do the best you can to make sure that you have all of the right evidence in your case. It's communicated properly. Because even if you get denied at a hearing, there's still the appeals council, federal appeals. And if you have a good case, then you stand a shot.
All right, next question. For SSDI, does someone need to not work for a while to then be approved? When my husband tried applying the first time, they said he he was too young. I've never heard of that one. He had been working, which proves he could work. He's forced to work on a deteriorating back because obviously he can't. I don't, did you get anything in that?
But yeah, I got the gist of it. So if he was told too young, I mean, unless you are married to an individual under 18, which I don't think that's the case, then
Probably not. Probably not.
probably not. Okay, we'll go with that one. Then you received some misinformation. But here's the work situation. If Social Security allows you to work and earn up to $1,550 a month, and it's going to change slightly for next year. And that's what they allow you to work and earn and apply. Now, if you're earning more than that, then you're automatically kicked out of the system, right? But the regulation allows you to earn that amount of money. It doesn't mean that you can get approved. And in my experience of almost 2 decades of doing this work, if you're earning like more than like hobby type income, which is like in the $400 or $500 range, it's really hard to get approved. I would say that it's almost not possible at all to get approved if you're under 50 and earning money. So the argument that you are attempting to prove is that you are not able to work because of your conditions that are diagnosed, treated, and limitations. So where does that leave you? You got to pay your bills, right? That's a tough one. Yeah. Create a YouTube channel, earn some passive income. You have to find other ways to get through, because once you're approved, you can work like up to 20 hours a week and earn up to $1,110 a month every month and keep your benefits. But you've got to cross that hurdle. Yep. Can I say one more thing on this?
Sure.
Boy, I wish I could remember the lady's name, Nadine, that we were talking to that got her credits back, but I'm going to use her as an example. She had been out of work for almost 5 years, and that's when your credits expire. But for people like the gentleman with the bad back that are working to survive, you have to really evaluate the long-term cost of this, one, on your health. But if you're working part-time, those years of reduced earnings are going to erode this big check amount that you've built up. Mm-hmm. So if you go from 50,000, they call it decompensation, down to part-time of 18 or 20,000, and you're there for 2 or 3 years, that check is just going to start to dwindle. So somehow, some way, you need to figure out a way to get through it, get your check amount, and then consider, working part-time, side hustle once you're approved. Really take that into consideration.
Nadine, do you have anything?
Yeah, we got a question here from A1. I'm on SSDI. I got an insurance settlement payout from a car accident that had nothing to do with my disability. Do I report this money to SSA? And how do I do that if I need to do so?
Okay, good question. What income affects your benefits? We just covered this the other week, but this particular one is unique. So yeah. Based on your award letters are the same for everybody, you're expected to report earned income. And you didn't work for this, it's a settlement, so no.
Okay. And we also have a question from Stacy. She's asking if 66 years old, is it too old to apply for SSDI?
Yeah, it's up to your 65th birthday. Yeah. You basically receive the same check amount if you take your
Yeah.
full retirement. You know, you look at the numbers, they're typically right in line.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
So I just want to quickly go back to the situation of Mary. She responded to her question earlier. She said the last work that she had was 8 years ago as a secretary, and she stopped working due to severe brain fog. And she wasn't able to continue working because her scoliosis pain, you know, has been affecting her work. This was the lady who got denied after 5 years.
Right. So 8 years. So now she's worked 8 years ago. My hunch is, unfortunately, you're probably not insured for your Social Security disability benefits anymore. And unless you have an active case at like at the appeals level or federal appeal, which is possible, not
Mhm.
likely because of the time, but it's possible, then you don't have access to the Social Security program based on what I know. And there isn't, I don't see an angle to help you out with Social Security disability benefits. These are difficult things for me to say, but I don't want to mislead anybody. I just don't see it. If your benefits have expired, unless you can work and get them back, it doesn't matter what the medical situation is. It's awful, really. Um, and 28% of the people that come here to the Disability Digest are in a situation similar to this, where their benefits have expired. They've either been out of work too long, they haven't worked enough, yeah. So
So
one thing you could look at is some of the other programs, like that Dr. Ed talked about. If you look at the live replays on our channel, maybe there's spousal benefits, widows benefits, other benefits like that you could access. Because did we get the age?
yeah,
Oh,
she's 50.
50?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're 50 and can prove medically that you're not able to work, then you could access some other programs, widows or divorced spouse benefits. That would be a good event for you to listen to and find the ones that may be possible for you. Contact Social Security. Yeah, if you go to them and you're looking for your Social Security disability benefits and you don't qualify, I don't expect that if they're not experienced, that they're going to ask you the right questions to help you understand what other possibilities could be available to you. So definitely check that event out. Yeah. So, and if you can't find that replay of that event with Dr. Ed, then if you're a member at the Disability Digest, just contact us. We'd be glad
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Okay, we have a good question here from Kevin. He said, "Hello, I got diagnosed with early onset of Alzheimer's. Still working. Should I wait to be terminated, or do I self-terminate? What would look better for disability? Thanks."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an opinion either way. One thing that would help in this is that if you document the challenges that you have with work, which I expect is remembering like important tasks and things to do, or maybe things that you've forgotten, and documenting that. And if you have a supervisor or superior that you're working with and they're aware of your situation and they would work with you and document any of the challenges that you're having, and then you could take that as a letter of evidence, like forget the individual's name. Was it John? I'll just say John. Say John it worked for me for 15 years. In the last 3 years, he suffers from early onset Alzheimer's. I've seen him go from a productive worker, being able to knock it out of the park, to some deterioration of remembering repetitive tasks, being reliable in meetings, or, you know, showing up late, things like that. That would be how ever you could obtain that information, ideally just being forthright, would be good. Because there's two things there. It's going to help you with your limitations, and then you know, there's a thing called special accommodations, where some employers will actually, if they're aware, the good employers, they'll help you. They'll want to keep you and surround you with resources that allow you a higher probability of succeeding. So good question. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. Yeah, I don't have any other questions
All right.
anymore.
One
Now,
last one. One last one here
One
from me.
last one for the road.
All right. Roxy says, so I got same paperwork to fill out all over again about my reconsideration. Is that normal? Will they be sending me to see their doctors again?
It's becoming more common in today's decision process, I'll say, because of the time frame of the disability approval. This is just mine and others' theories, because it's taking so long. So they're going to ask you the same questions again to see if anything's changed. So what was the second part of the question? Common, what was the?
Will they send them to their doctors?
Oh, I don't know. It's difficult to predict if they will. I know others that they've had to go through adult function again, and the work history, and the independent medical. So
yeah, if there's any inconsistencies in their paperwork, then they could send them again to get reevaluated.
Yep. Yep. So I would just encourage you to take a deep breath, use the information in our disability approval course. If you're not a member here and have access to that yet, then encourage you to join and get in there, because how you fill out that paperwork, there's certain words that are important to use in there, and others that you should not use. And you could still use the strategy, and should use the strategy in the disability approval course lesson from attorney Carl Osterhow that is consistent with your prior answers, but using more effective terminology. So that's one. Two, evidence. It'll help you understand what evidence you can use, like the example I just gave for the individual I assigned the name John with Alzheimer's. And then going to your exam, if you have to go again, there's certain steps that you should take to maximize your experience there. Not for enjoyment, just really for results. Yeah. Good. Great questions today. We finished them all?
Think so.
Wonderful.
we just have one last for the road, if it's okay. Someone's asking what the partial award is.
I don't know. Well, what it could be is this, is sometimes people at the initial application receive a decision that says that you have been medically approved for your Social Security disability benefits, or some language like that. And now we're going to evaluate you to make sure that you, all the other technicalities check out, which is they're going to check on your work credits, any other things to make sure you have enough work credits. I don't understand why they do this. They should have checked them in the beginning. Otherwise, they'll waste all this time going through the medical. But I'm just the messenger. So that could be what they are referring to as a partial. And if that is the case, having a medically approved is a good sign, because that's the most difficult. You can look in your Social Security account prior to applying and see that you've worked enough, or know your own work history. So, yeah. Good. All right, folks. Oh, one other thing I want to share with you before we wrap up here on the moving forward process. If you would like to come on our show and have an evaluation done, ask a question, share a success story, we have changed our format from calling in, where you can actually join us in the Zoom room. You would place a request to join one of our live events here. And you do that by contacting our support desk. And that's support@thedisabilitydigest.com. If you're a member of the Disability Digest, it's likely that, well, you could reply to any of the emails and somebody could help you out. Just explain why you'd like to come on the show, what the reason is, and we'll evaluate it and put it in the order of hierarchy. It's not, we can't accept everybody that requests, but we want to help out as many people as we can. And oftentimes people would like to speak to somebody, and just with the number of people that we have in the workflow, we can't accommodate everybody. So come on in.
Yeah, that's
Join
exciting.
Water's fine.
Yeah, join the show. Water's fine. Yeah, yeah, probably is in Texas. Getting a little chilly here in Vermont.
No, it's kind of rainy today and cold, so
Yeah,
wouldn't be fun today.
yeah, good. Nadine, Philip, I appreciate you too. Thank you for your wonderful contribution to this event. I'm grateful. Couldn't do it without you.
Thank you so much for having us as well.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
And a
welcome.
reminder to everybody out there in the Facebook group, if you want that free membership so you can join us, be sure and
Yep.
sign up.
Yep, join the group. Nadine put the link in the chat for people. Yeah, if you didn't, you can just copy and paste Philip's group if you can't find it.
I am posting that now.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Who knows, if
All
you're
right.
new, you could be one of the winners when we reach 10,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some gift cards, prizes, giveaways, all here.
And we're closing that 10,000 mark, so
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, encourage you to share it with somebody that could benefit. That makes the world go around. We do this at no charge out here at the Disability Digest and these events to help you and others. So spreading the word and impacting others would help us help you. So please do so if you feel it is appropriate. We'll be back next week. Next week, we're going to talk about side hustles, money you can make and get your benefits, money you can make while you're getting approved. We'll share stories about what other members of the Disability Digest have successfully done. Give you some tips on things that if you're starting like brand new, like you've just transitioned out of your current work environment, like what are some steps that you can do? So one of my favorite topics is helping people supplement their income. So come join us next week for that show. Oh, 2 weeks from now, we have industry expert attorney James Mitchell Brown coming back. He's going to talk about musculoskeletal issues for a few minutes, like how to get your benefits, keep them for that. But then he's going to talk and answer any questions, which there's been lots of, about how the new administration, the transition into 2025, what the impact, short-term, long-term, is speculated to be on your benefits. He is super in the know, so that's definitely an event you don't want to miss in 2 weeks. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Till the next time, everybody be well.
Y'all have a good week.
Have a good week.